it'll cost you something. If you really want to do it, you're gonna do it anyway. I am a clay artist. I make clay earrings and I sell them. I mean, that sounds so simple. I'm so bad at organizing. I made these notes and I'm like, hopefully this covers everything, and I just keep wanting to go back and forth on things. So anyway, I'm gonna make this as concise as possible. So why I quit my job, what I'm doing now, what made me quit, all these things. I'll just paint a very vague picture of what I did before quitting my job. So I've been out of college for about 3 years now. I graduated with a marketing degree. I never really considered going into any sort of marketing position, but that's kind of the path that led me to sales. My first year and a half out of college, I did outside sales. I sold payroll and honestly that company was so amazing and fun. The culture was great. I just didn't think that sales was the right fit for me after a year and a half of trying. It just seemed very forced. So I moved on to something different, a much smaller business that was in the interior design industry. I did this for about a year and I was doing some back-end work. I don't really know how to explain it. Basically like order fulfillment and RFQs for furniture orders. I mean, that sounds so boring because it actually was so freaking boring. Like, it was so boring. Obviously why I left that. After the 2.5 years out of college, I feel like I learned so much just life-wise and about myself, spiritually, emotionally, gaining more knowledge and more wisdom about life, that I was like, you know what, I feel like I could go back into sales with a new mindset and do it better this time. Well, I had a friend who I knew from the first company that I worked at. She started working at this new company where it's called pre-sales, and if you don't know what pre-sales is, it's basically a term used mostly in the IT industry. They are the middleman between the salesperson and the engineer. I could be so wrong explaining this right now, but basically you are the expert at the software or the product, and you do like demonstration presentations to these large customers about the software and try to sell it to them in that way, but you weren't like a sales rep. I don't really care to explain that any further, so I'm gonna just leave it at that. So once I stepped into job number 3, I was fired up, you know, ready to learn all of these things, just ready to make a lot of money and get really good at this job. Every time that I would step into a new job position, I felt the same exact way. The type of person that would get hired in that position typically would have had 5 to 10 plus years of HR experience, and I had 0. I sold an HR service for small businesses for a year and a half, and that's it. But you'd see like HR directors, HR managers, like all these people stepping into this position after having been in an HR position for an actual organization in the past. And so I lacked so much knowledge and so much experience in that way. I was playing catch up this whole time. Meanwhile, my boss, who I absolutely adore, like, she helped me so much and she was so amazing throughout the whole process. She was babying me. I knew it wasn't fair to the rest of the team, although I was the newest. I just didn't see it being sustainable for the rest of the time of me working there. How I knew that the corporate life was not for me, I kept telling myself that it was just like, oh, not this job, but the next one. And I just knew, like, if I kept doing that, I would just have a long list of jobs on my resume, and that never looks good. Once it was the 3rd job that I ended up just hating and dreading so much, I was like, what? Like, I'm obviously going in the wrong direction. I've always also known that I wanted to build something for myself. I've always had huge dreams and huge visions of like starting something on my own and building it from the ground up. And I've always had so many ideas, but never felt the urge to actually put them into action. I was always divided because of my work, and I feel like certain people with certain personality types, what you do for a job has to align with who you are as a person, and a lot of people don't have that. So, I mean, this is literally just for me, and I just want to put that out there that not everyone is made the same. Please don't at me for saying something that you don't agree with. Like, I'm just putting this out there for the people that want to know this information and who need that encouragement to step out and to make that move. I realized after my 3 years out of college that I just was never meant to work for somebody. I feel like I'm a very free-spirited person, and I get things done, and it's most productive in my own time and in my own way. When I have to perform based on someone else's expectations of me, it really does not work well. Every entrepreneur or small business owner that I've talked to about this has said the same exact thing, that they could never work for somebody else. And so I know that's just a real thing, okay? And lastly, just a smaller thing, but I just think it's very freeing that I don't have to worry about this anymore. or at least for as long as I work for myself, is resumes. I hate resumes. Like, I hate them so much. I hate updating them. And maybe it's my fault because I've been jumping from job to job for so long, but I never want to update a resume in my life ever again. I never want to have to update my LinkedIn profile or anything because that stuff is so annoying and I hate it. That's really dramatic, but it's true. I just really would rather never do that ever again. And I feel so free not having to do that. So by the time that I realized I don't want to work anymore, I didn't really have anything in place to replace my job. I think I was in denial. I was wedding planning and preparing to get married the whole time that I was employed at, and I was so distracted. My mind was so divided on so many different things. So it was just a lot on my plate. I don't really know how I did it, honestly. I know God gave me that job for a reason, and I know it was because I needed to pay my bills. It was because I needed to learn these things that I learned and like realizations that I had throughout this whole process and getting me to where I am today. I seriously believe that 100%. And then it comes to this point where you're like, am I extrinsically motivated? Is that the right word? Or intrinsically motivated. So I realized I'm intrinsically motivated because even though I was getting all these perks and benefits and all this pay for all the jobs that I had, I realized it wasn't worth it. You have to definitely be intrinsically motivated to start your own business and to be your own boss because you are getting nothing in the beginning, okay? Then I decided I wanted to open my own business. And I was like, what should I do? I mean, it took me 3 years to figure this out, to figure out like what I wanted to do. I went into interior design. I considered textile design. I almost went to design school for interior design. I almost moved to California. I realized that would have been such a waste of money. So I'm glad I didn't do that. And I realized I didn't even really want to do interior decorating for the rest of my life. Considered opening a blog. There were so many different avenues I could have gone, but I didn't feel right. And come May, I found polymer clay and I decided to start making earrings. I knew I wanted to open a business. I knew I wanted to create something. And so I did it and I was like, you know what? I can do this. So I very quickly made a launch date, made an Instagram, did that, and it was officially my side gig. It was just so much fun. It literally was so life-giving to be able to create something that was so good that someone would actually purchase it. I was like talking to Alec, by then we were married, and I was like, man, this would be amazing to be my full-time job. My goal is to one day work for myself full-time to where I can help pay bills, I can make a living out of this. And he agreed. He thought that was an amazing idea, but we didn't think it would be anything that would happen anytime soon, like not for another year or two. Looking back, it just seems like such a short period of time. In the moment, it just feels so long and dreadful that I'm like, how am I gonna be here for even the rest of the year? Because right now it's October and like, what if I was still there? I don't know what I would do. Let's just like kind of switch gears for a second. And meanwhile, while I'm at my job, I hated it. I dreaded it. I'm like, when's lunchtime? When is it 5 o'clock? Like, I did not want to give any of my time more than I had to. I want to work. Like, I want to give my all to a job. So vividly, I just remember just being in this place of how the heck am I going to live my life if this is my life? I was stressed out every single day. I had anxiety every single day about it. This is the crazy part. Going into August, I only had been doing my business for a month, and if I have a goal and I want it so badly, I will make it happen. So I basically wrote up a budget for us and showed it to him, and I was like, this is what we need to survive, to pay our bills, to eat good food, and to save a little bit on the side. Not much, but a little bit. And this is what I need to make in order to do that, and this is how I'm gonna get there. He looked at it and he saw all of the like pain and anxiety that I had been going through, like feeling so not myself in this job. At face value, I was losing a lot, but internally, I gained so much. The week that I decided to quit, my dog passed away, and it was very sudden and very abrupt, very tragic, and it really tore my world apart, me and Alec. In the midst of me trying to get ready for the validation coming up within the next week, there was so much around me. I didn't like the job I was in. I was also doing my business, which I loved, but I couldn't give time to because I was also dealing with grief. There was so much going on, and then I was just like, I am at the bottom, and praying about wanting to leave so badly, like every single day. And I was like, I think I have to do it. Nothing's getting better. It almost seemed as though in that moment there was no other choice. I hope you guys can try to understand where I'm coming from. When I'm talking about it, it sounds so like lofty and just not realistic, but like truthfully, I had to take that step of faith. And this is what I'm saying about anyone that wants to do this. You will be risking, it'll cost you something. If you really want to do it, you're gonna do it anyway. I'm really trying not to make this so long, but man, there's so much to talk about. I put my 2 weeks notice in. It's never a fun conversation to tell your boss you want to leave, especially if you have a good relationship with them. When I sent that letter over via email, she called me because we don't see each other every day. She was so cool about it. Like, she understood completely. Yeah, okay, that's basically the story. I hope I didn't miss anything. A quick tip of advice for someone who is also in this place of wanting to quit their corporate job to start their own business or to work for themselves. If you haven't found exactly what you want to do yet, like, just try everything you can. And once you find something, you'll know. Find something that you believe in so much that you're gonna make it happen no matter what. All of these things are falling in place, and I did not see any of them happening anytime soon, but God made them happen because He is for me and He loves me and He hears my heart. And I just think that's such a testament to what God is capable of doing. Okay, so fear of failure, or fear of what people would think. I had struggled with what people would think about me for a really long time, and at this point in my life, I don't really care anymore. And I think you have to get to that point first before you do anything, because that's exactly what will keep you from doing it. If you're working your butt off and building something amazing, then like no one can say anything about you. Like, that's your work, you're doing it, so who cares? Surprisingly, that was the short version of the story, so I hope that you guys enjoyed that. Fast forward to today, I am dividing my time between my Scatter Designs business and YouTube, and it's been amazing, and I'm really, really grateful and happy. I actually, for the first time in my life, feel like I am where I'm supposed to be. And while everything else happened for a reason and God had purpose in everything, I'm just extremely, extremely grateful for where I'm at today. And who knows what's gonna happen tomorrow, or the next day, or the next day, or the next year, or 5 years. I hope this video either inspired you to take that step that you know that you've been needing to take. Once you have that feeling, whether you have something that you want to pursue or not, like, you'll find it in the right timing. Okay, that's all I have to say. It was a roller coaster. This year has been crazy. This has been the biggest year of my life. Crazy. After all is said and done, I just want to make sure that I'm continually leaning on the Lord, because He is the only one that can fulfill me and satisfy all of my needs. A job is a job, and at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. Is that redundant? Anyway, you know what I mean. Now I can finally post this video and check it off the list, because honestly, I've been meaning to do this so that you guys can know more about it. So yeah, okay, I love you guys so much, and I hope you have the best day ever. Hi, Denver. Hello, bud. You'll find the beauty goes much deeper once you get to meet her.